Welcome back, everyone. Today marks 3 months of the Peterson Academy being out, and it also marks 3 months of me being in the Peterson Academy. So today I want to share with you guys kind of my experiences so far, what I've thought about the Academy. I'm not going to go too much into whether or not the Peterson Academy could replace traditional universities today, because I've already covered that topic in a couple videos. I made a video of 5 problems with the Peterson Academy and 5 solutions. I also made a video of 10 features I would like to see added to the Academy. And I made a video of the Peterson Academy in 10, 15, 20 years. What could it look like in the future? So if you guys want to go check out those videos, in those videos I kind of answer that question a little bit more. The main question that you guys have been asking me on all of my Peterson Academy videos has been whether or not this can replace traditional universities. Now, you guys have been asking that question in a myriad of different ways, which is fantastic because it really gets me thinking on whether or not this could replace brick and mortar universities. But in a couple months, when I get to the 6-month mark, so 3 more months from now, I'll make a full hour-long video of whether or not I think the Peterson Academy can actually replace traditional brick and mortar universities and to what degree it can replace them. So I want to do a little bit more research first on the history of universities, how they've developed, and what state they are in today. So give me a little bit more time on that. I've already started that research with my How to Become a Genius video series. I already have part 1 out. You guys can expect part 2 in about less than a month. I'm working on a lot of different videos right now, but today I just want to share with you guys my experiences with the Academy so far. It takes about 3 months to get acclimated to any new situation, whether you're moving towns or moving schools or whatever it might be. It takes about 3 months to get the feel for it. So now that I kind of have a feel for the Academy, I want to share with you guys my experiences with that. And at the end of the video today, I want to go over my 5 favorite courses on the Academy. Last time I did a video like this, my experience after 2 months, I did a rankings of all of the courses that I've taken so far at the end of the video. Today, I want to spend just a little bit more time talking about my 5 personal favorites and why those courses have changed my life. So, talking about my experience with the Academy, I went through my experience with university in my first Peterson Academy video, which was, I believe it was titled My Experience So Far. And I made that video about 3 days after I signed up for the Academy, or the Academy launched, I should say. So that video was a little bit raw, and I kind of detailed out my journey through university and then how I dropped out and then eventually signed up for the Peterson Academy in that video. If you guys are interested in that, you guys can go check that out. I don't want to rehash all of that here. But in comparing my experience with this Peterson Academy with the university that I attended when I was 18, 19 years old, the biggest differences are, first of all, I much prefer to take lectures through the Peterson Academy online, sitting in my comfy living room or sitting in my bed or driving around listening to them in the car. It's just super convenient, and I love sitting down with some blankets, throwing up the Peterson Academy lectures on my big TV, having a notepad in front of me, and it's just a fantastic experience. I really like that. When I was going to university, I was busing for an hour there and an hour back. So I get onto this cold bus. I live in Canada. Very cold, minus 30 in the winters, and I'm just, miserable, getting up super early. I'm not really a morning person. I'm more of a night owl, so getting up super early to go attend these classes way out in Edmonton, and it just sucked because I would get on the bus and I would pull up lectures from YouTube that were free, that were much more engaging than the lecture that I was going to attend in person, the lectures I was paying for. So I get on the bus and I, watch my lectures, get to the actual brick and mortar university. I went to MacEwan University, for any of you guys interested. And yeah, I always felt like it was just such a down place. Like it was just downcast. Everybody was just kind of, heads down, slouched over, hoodies up, Starbucks cups. Everybody was just kind of closed off in their own little bubbles. And it wasn't a very friendly community. So, I'd go into class, everybody's doing their own thing. There's not really anybody to talk to, and you're in a class with like 100 people. My psychology classes were in a huge auditorium, so a little bit hard to have an intimate setting there. And the lectures were always so boring, like incredibly boring, like the most dumbed down, watered down lectures I've ever seen in my life. And it took them forever to get the information out that the Peterson Academy can get out in like one lecture. Like they could compact multiple lectures into one because they don't waste any time. You don't have teachers showing up, maybe hungover or maybe just tired from raising kids or whatever. And they're just kind of, a little downcast. They're like, okay, today, guys, we're going to have an easier class. We're not going to do too much. You guys can kind of just take a study class, or we're just going to go over this today, and then here's your homework. It was just very, I don't know, it wasn't inspiring. It wasn't motivating. It didn't make me want to learn. And if anything, I felt like I was just blowing my money going to that university because I really wasn't learning much. Especially these universities in Canada are quite twisted, as Jordan Peterson has detailed out greatly over the last few years. He was actually a huge inspiration for me dropping out. A lot of the things he was saying about these universities was resonating with me because I was seeing it at the university I was attending, and, I was just done. So I dropped out after a year. So that whole experience of just, busing an hour to school, cold weather, to get there early in the morning for professors who really weren't all that exciting or engaging or made you feel like you want to be there. And, students who were very just closed off and kind of in their own world. And, unless you're going there with friends from high school, it's sometimes a little bit tough to break into friend groups when you're in university. But that was just my experience. Other people might have other experiences going to traditional brick and mortar universities that are fantastic and good for you guys. That's awesome. I wish I had that experience. I truly do. I envy you guys. But, I dropped out at 18, 19, and, 4 or 5 years of me just kind of anxious, like, oh, what am I doing with my life? I want to be in school, and I'm learning. I'm reading as many books as I can. I'm taking lectures for free online. I'm Googling everything I can on YouTube and Internet Archive, and I'm doing the best I can, but I'm not getting any feedback. I'm not getting a degree. I'm not getting quizzed. I'm not getting test results. So there wasn't any feedback coming in, and I felt like I was almost wasting my life. Luckily, Jordan Peterson announced the Peterson Academy, and for many, many years, probably 2 or 3, I was just waiting for this academy to come out. Every time he would talk about it, I'm like, I'm so excited. I really, really want to attend this academy. And I had very, very high expectations, And I have to say, for the most part, they were met. The first day that I started taking classes, I binged Jordan Peterson's Intro to Nietzsche in probably 3 days. I think I made my first review video for that course it was quite early on. So I was obsessed from the get-go. I found the lectures are so damn beautiful. They're gorgeous, top to bottom. Like I've said many, many times, I love the way the smoke pops into the background, and you see these images appear, and you see text behind the professors. It just makes it so engaging. And it makes you feel like you just want to binge these lectures. And I have been doing that. There's been a couple courses where I've just binged the whole course in one day. So I don't think there's any traditional university that's offering any courses that I would want to go there and just spend literally the whole day just spend 12 hours in a row cranking out lectures. There's really there's no university that's providing that right now. Now, maybe, if you're going to Harvard or you're going to an Ivy League school, maybe you're going to Cambridge or Oxford, one of those amazing institutions. Maybe you do have professors that are so engaging that you just want to be there for the whole day and you never want to stop learning. And if you're one of those people, again, I envy you, but I don't have access to that. I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to shell out for a degree. I also don't live in the United States or the UK. I don't have access to those top universities. Sure, I could travel to Toronto and go to the University of Toronto, but for my purposes, the Peterson Academy is great for me. At the end of the day, I would like a bachelor's degree. I would really like to get a PhD in psychology one day. Those are big dreams of mine, but they're not necessary. I don't necessarily need that piece of paper for what I want to do. And what I want to do is this. I love doing this. I love making videos for you guys. I love showing my passion and knowledge for psychology and all these interesting subjects on here. This is where I like to do it. So if I can make a full-time living out of this, it'll work for me. But again, not everybody's going to go to the Peterson Academy to become a YouTuber, right? You guys might have different aspirations. So I can only speak to my personal experience here. And that's kind of how I felt so far. A couple other things that I want to talk about is the lack of students. So when I was going to university, there's a bunch of people around you. You can kind of engage with them. You can have conversations about what you're learning about. And that's really beneficial. A lot of people really, really like that. Now, I wasn't that type of person. I like to kind of stay closed off to myself. I'm pretty introverted. I'm not somebody who's very chatty. So for me, I don't gain a ton of value out of that. I'd rather just go home, search up some comment sections or some blog posts and just chat with people that way. So for me, that's not the biggest loss, but for other people, they really, really like that. They really like having other students there to talk to, that personal interaction. That's what they like, and that's where they learn the best. For me, I'd rather just read something and learn on my own. So going to professors as well. You can't really interact with any of the professors on the Peterson Academy, which is unfortunate, but there's a little bit of a trade-off here. So you get super high quality professors, some of the best professors on the planet. They're all hyper interesting. When you throw on their courses on the Peterson Academy, you're gripped from the first lecture. It's fantastic. But because these are such high quality people, they're very, very busy people. So you're not going to be able to ask them questions. Now, I've come up with a couple possible solutions for that. AI professors trained on the specific courses and the bodies of work of these professors. Or perhaps the professors could answer maybe 2 to 3 questions a week via text or something on the Peterson Academy. Maybe you could poll questions and the top polled questions could get answered by the professors. I'm not too certain how to solve that issue yet, but it might just be one of those things where you kind of trade it off, right? You get super high quality professors, but you can't really engage with them. Or you can engage with your professors a lot, but you get lower quality professors like the average professor at a brick and mortar institution. So another thing is being quizzed, right? Hands-on testing and doing things in the lab and seeing experiments in person and getting out into the real world and volunteering places and field trips and all that kind of stuff. None of that stuff is included with the Peterson Academy, and it's really unfortunate. Now, I detail out some ways around that in my Future of the Peterson Academy video, so you guys can go check that out. But as far as that, we just kind of have to see how the Academy rolls, and being only 3 months in, I don't want to give too much on that front right now, because we can get 6 months, a year down the line, and perhaps a lot of these issues get solved by the Peterson Academy, and perhaps they'll do it in different ways than I suggest. So give me a couple more months and I might come up with some more ideas. If you guys have any ideas on how we can do field trips and hands-on learning and lab work across the world online, if you guys can brainstorm that, feel free to let me know your guys' suggestions down in the comments. As for my favorite courses, we'll kind of get into that now. My favorite course, honestly, was the Sermon on the Mount with Dr. Jordan Peterson. Now, I'm not going to mention the Nietzsche course today, because when I took the Nietzsche course, I was steeped in Nietzsche, so I didn't learn a ton, but it was super fascinating to me because, like I said, I was just steeped in Nietzsche at the time. So I ranked that a little bit lower in my, my experience after 2 months video with the Peterson Academy. I ranked it a little bit lower only because I didn't learn a ton, but it was still a fantastic course. I love it. I can listen to Jordan Peterson all day long, but the Sermon on the Mount was my favorite course that he's done so far. I think it was just fantastic. I can't wait for his next book. I'm going to talk a little bit more about his views on religion when I finish We Who Wrestle with God. I'm about halfway through it right now. Once I finish We Who Wrestle with God, I will do a full review on it, and that will come out on this channel in a couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. But I'll get more into his ideas on religion in that video. Plus, I'm also making a Richard Dawkins and Peterson debate analysis too, because the first video I made analyzing that debate went really poorly, and I was kind of all over the place, and it was a mess. So I'm remaking that video. I'm not going to take down the original, but I'm kind of remaking that video. I'm doing a part 2, and I'll talk a little bit more about Jordan Peterson's views on religion in that video, and like I said, in my We Who Wrestle with God book review. So Sermon on the Mount, like I said in my review for it, I teared up many times throughout it. It was just such a moving course. And any professor that can get you teared up in a course, I think that's pretty special. So thank you, Jordan Peterson, for such an amazing course. That was my absolute favorite. My second favorite was probably Symbolism in Christianity. I've actually gone back and rewatched a couple of the lectures already. I just love Jonathan Pageau, man. All of his content on YouTube is fantastic. He has a mind that's just so unique, and the way he can figure out symbolism, especially in Christianity, is just, it's genius. And it reminds me a lot of Carl Jung, and I just love his work. So Symbolism in Christianity is probably my second favorite course. My third favorite course, again, I think I ranked this a little bit lower in my experience after 2 months video, but The Greatest Leaders of History with Lord Andrew Roberts was fantastic. The reason why I ranked it lower was just because I've read a lot of Andrew Roberts' books before, and I didn't really learn anything new. We were kind of spending one episode on each great figure, and that's not enough time to go through their lives. So it was more so just like a series of interviews with Andrew Roberts, and I found that to be fantastic. He's one of my favorite historians of all time, so I really, really enjoyed that course. Next up is probably History of Western Music with Samuel Anefev. I'm probably forgetting his name or mispronouncing it, but he did a fantastic job. In fact, out of all the courses that I've taken so far in the Peterson Academy, the History of Western Music is the one that I've learned the most in. Now, I'm not a classically trained musician. I can't play the piano or any cool instruments, unfortunately. It's one of the biggest regrets I have in my life was not learning to play the piano when I was really young, similar to Jordan Peterson's biggest regret of not learning to play the organ when he was a young age. So I learned a lot in this course. I learned a lot about music theory, how music works, the evolution of music, the different time periods. Fantastic. If you want a comprehensive history of Western music, kind of an introduction to it, I can't recommend a better course, really. And I think lastly, I'll talk about the Shakespearean tragedies with, I'm forgetting his name right now. Andrew Doyle, I believe. He was fantastic, man. His oratory ability is phenomenal. I feel like he was just like, he had the most ease when he was talking. It just came out so effortlessly. And man, I loved the way he detailed the history of Shakespeare, the history of his plays. He got deep into each one of them, each one of the tragedies. And it was just fantastic. I really, really loved that course. And I said it in my experience after 2 months. That was the number one course on that list, on my rankings list, because I think it's the best course on the Academy right now. The visuals are brilliant, and Andrew Doyle came prepared, man. He really came prepared. And for a comedian, you know, he's not really a traditional professor. He's more of like a comedian playwright. I thought he did a fantastic job. So shout out to Andrew Doyle. Those were my 5 favorite courses so far. Now, if you guys have any questions about any of the courses, feel free to let me know down below. If you guys have any questions about the Academy in general, feel free to pose those down below as well. I think I'm going to wrap up there for today. I don't want to make this video too long, and there'll be many, many more videos on the Peterson Academy coming out soon. And yeah, I think tomorrow I'm going to put out a video of a wish list of 20 people I would like to see teach a course on the Peterson Academy. So stay tuned for that video. That'll be a fun one. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, it means the world to me. It truly does. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.